Welcome to Honda Pilot Overland. Today we are going to be working on a fairing project that I've had boiling up in my brain. So basically what I'm going to do is try to make a wind fairing that goes from the roof basket down to the roof. And what I'm going to do is test and see if that helps cut down on some of the wind resistance up there, and basically just to see if I can mitigate some of the drag that this roof basket creates. So basically what I'm going to do right now is just take off my pod lights, and I'm going to try to work the wind fairing, which is just a 1/4 inch plexiglass. I'm going to try to attach it to the roof basket. For right now, I'm going to just try to follow the angle that already exists up there and see how it looks. So here's my first pod light that I got down. These are ProComp Explorer pod lights, and as you can see, the paint is not doing so hot. So what I'm going to do is scrub the glass here. I'll mask it off, and I'm just going to spray paint the rest of it back to black, probably with some texturized paint. I'll make these look a lot nicer. All right, so I've measured down from the top 10 inches, taking measurements from the top of the roof rack. That looks like the right distance. Now I'm going to take a straight edge, line up the dots, and then I'm going to take my jigsaw and cut it. For my research, I should be able to cut this cut it with the jigsaw and get a nice edge. This bottom edge is going to have a rubber trim put onto it, so if it's not quite a perfect edge, that's okay. I did make a little cut right here with the jigsaw, and it looked like it was going to start cutting just fine. So let's see what we can do here. So just like that, we have our 10-inch strip cut out. What I'm going to do is clean up the back side of it, and we're going to spray paint it black. It should give it a nice glossy black finish on the front. So here's an example of what it looks like when you spray paint the back of the plexiglass. So on this side, you can see it's just a smooth, nice glossy black. On this side this side's the side that I spray painted. So I've got this big wind fairing spray painted on this side. This side should turn out really nice, glossy black. Now in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the wind fairing to dry, I've masked off the front of these LED pods, and I'm gonna try to flake off as much of this paint as I can, and I'm gonna throw some new paint down on them. Torn between going with my thick, off-road truck liner paint or the glossy stuff. The glossy stuff would be easier to clean, but the truck bed liner stuff will cover up the imperfections more. So I think I've pretty much just decided to go with the truck bed liner. This is the truck bed liner that I'm using. I just bought it from Walmart. It scratches off pretty easy, but it should be just about perfect for these pod lights up top. And then on the fairing, I didn't have any more flat black, just normal spray paint, so I put this enamel on it. It seems like it's looking pretty good, but we'll see if it sticks. All right, so we're learning as we go, making lots of mistakes. Thankfully, I have enough material to make another one of these. First tip, put some tape on the bottom of the jigsaw so you don't scratch your plexiglass. I already scratched the front of it on that first cut. Second tip, use some cardboard and make a template before you start working with the plexiglass. I'm basically just winging it here, and I drilled through the plexiglass. It kind of roughed it up, but if I didn't have the pod lights on the front or the tabs for it, I mean, I'd be pretty much set, minus the rubber trim that's coming in the mail. But anyways, I'm gonna keep hacking away at this thing, seeing what I can do. Just taking measurements of where the tabs are, trying to translate them over here. If I was using cardboard over there, I could have probably just pressed the cardboard against the tab, and the tab would have ripped right through, and I could have basically made my cuts from there. So if this one doesn't work out, that's what I'm going to do next. All right, so we learned the hard way. Don't practice on your plexiglass. Make a template. Alright, once you get your template made, fold it in half, and that way you can make sure it's symmetrical. I'm going to cut the holes for the tabs a little bit bigger. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do for these side pieces and for the curve on the corner. But this is already a better start than what I did before. Now that I'm running lower on material, I might still have enough for two, but I'm masking both sides of this plexiglass, and I am taping the bottom of my saw, and I'm using the circular saw this time. I noticed with the jigsaw that as I was cutting through, this melted plastic was fusing back together, and that's what actually caused my first one to crack. I was trying to get a piece out. So once I get this cut and then measure off this cut 10 inches, once I get this cut, then I'll use my template, cardboard template, to trace out the holes, and we should be well on our way, at least to a workable solution. That's my goal for today. Doesn't have to look perfect, but I definitely want to test and see if I can get rid of some of that wind resistance, maybe gain back a mile per gallon, maybe. Cutting the plexiglass with the masking tape on both sides produced really good cuts. I would definitely recommend doing it that way. So basically, the next step, I'm not very confident on my curves on the corners. The bottom definitely has to be cut out to make room for where the foot of the roof rack is. The corners, I'm not sure what shape. I probably like this rounder shape first, but I'm gonna start with the cutouts for the tabs. And basically what I did was I just lined up the template and I traced out this rough shape that was produced when I kind of poked through. What I've decided to do is cut out basically like a triangle is what I'm gonna do. So it's gonna come up and around. That should give me enough room to push the connector for the light through this fairing, and yet still, you know, that hole should still be covered up by the light. I've got my holes drawn for the tabs on the roof basket, and for right now I'm going to try a little cutting wheel on my Dremel and just having tape on the back side. We'll see what that does. See if that makes a clean cut or if it makes a mess. I just remembered another tool that's really good for cutting this. So it's this oscillating tool here. I'm gonna use that to cut it. Should make really good straight lines. We'll see if my dull blade is enough to cut it. It's not making the cleanest edge, but I think it's going to be adequate for this portion because it should be behind the light. I'm going to go see if I have any other saw blades for it. All right, my hole here isn't the cleanest at all. The tool did cut nice straight edges. I think the shape looks nice. But I'll just do my best to clean up the edges with my razor blade and a little bit of sandpaper. We'll make it work. So 1 down, 3 more to go. Slowly but surely, I'm making some progress here. I'm on one of my last cuts. I'm trying to cut a little bit of a curve into it so that it lines up with the roof really well. I think the rubber trim that I got might give me just a little bit of wiggle room there too. I'm not absolutely in love of this shape, but it's what I ended up with. I might decide to do like a softer curve here, but we'll see. But I gotta clean up all the tape residue. I gotta get this cut done and then clean up all the tape residue, and then I'll be ready to start painting it. I always knew that I wasn't gonna like love the look of the wind fairing, just because without it, you know, it looked awesome. But I do think I'm adding something that's really functional and will help reduce the consequences of having this roof basket. So here you can see this is my rough fit. It's starting to look a lot better. I'm okay with the gap at the bottom. I think with the rubber trim, I think that'll probably won't all the way disappear, but like I said, I'm happy with it. As far as the holes go, I think my pod lights will cover up a lot of the gaps there. I tried to keep them, you know, as small as possible. I still do have to fit the plug for the pod light through those holes. It looks like most of them I probably can. But the next step now is I need to drill some holes to mount the fairing to the roof basket. And I'm just gonna drill right into those diagonal supports. So far, it's actually, I don't know, it's starting to look more impressive. I think once those pod lights are on the front, it's gonna look really cool, and then maybe stick a couple stickers, or maybe our Honda Pilot Overland decal up there on it. Probably look pretty sharp. Now that the test fit is done, I'm working to clean it up, and then we'll paint the backside of it black. And then we'll have to wait till tomorrow for the rubber edge trimming to come in and mount it up, see how it looks. So we're in the last stages of the fairing build here, and we've basically covered the backside with Gorilla duct tape, hoping that's going to be an adequate barrier between the metal and the backside of this wind fairing. But we've got it all painted up. The last thing I need is for Amazon to drop off the rubber trim for the bottom, and then we'll be able to put it up for hopefully a final fitting. There is a decent chance that I will have to address the holes maybe one more time, but fingers crossed that'll be it, and we can move on to other projects. Just got the mail, and my rubber, 1/4-inch rubber trim came in, and I didn't know if I was just gonna go along the bottom or go all the way around, but I decided to go all the way around. I think it was a good call. I did notice, however, while I was cleaning it up here, that I did get overspray on it. So there's some places of overspray. I was debating whether I was gonna paint the front or not. At this point in time, I think I'm gonna go with what Eleni has suggested, which is just to run it with the overspray. She said once some bug splatter gets on there, it won't be very noticeable, and over time this paint spray will actually probably just come off. As you can see, my holes are not perfect by any shape of the imagination. I'm going to be curious to see what it looks like once the pod lights are on in front of it. And actually, we have yet to test fit this final product with the pod lights. We don't know if it's going to clear or not. With the cardboard, it cleared, but it's a piece of cardboard, so it's hard to say. Call it luck, call it miracle, or I guess maybe skill, but I don't think my DIY wind fairing could have turned out any better. So it's got good coverage on the front. Pod lights pop through. The pod lights shield and mask, you know, the holes that I made, so it's not nearly as obvious. I think it has a good angle for deflection. Now the question is it more quiet than it was before, or, you know, is it noisier by some chance? And then the other question is, does it improve gas mileage? But I am definitely pleased with the results on this project. And this concludes the wind fairing project DIY. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, consider becoming a Patreon member and supporting the build. The more money we get coming in from the channel, the more Lenny will allow me to purchase as far as upgrades go. It also helps fuel trips, which, you know, vice versa equals videos. The easiest way to support us is just liking, subscribing, sharing. And then another really easy way to support us is just bookmarking our Amazon store, Honda Pilot Overland. There's a link in the description below. If you just enter Amazon through that link, a portion of your purchases go towards the channel, which really helps us out. And yeah, we're gearing up for some big trips this summer. Stay tuned, and we'll do a reveal on that once details are more set in stone. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, good luck on your guys' projects. There's all kinds of YouTube channels popping up of different car enthusiasts and build projects and, you know, unconventional off-roaders. And I really appreciate being part of the community. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know.